What if the moments you thought were coincidences were actually whispers from another realm? There was once a man who lived his entire life chasing stability, steady job, predictable routines, everything carefully measured. Yet every night, just before sleep, he heard a faint sound in the silence, as if someone were calling his name. He tried to dismiss it as fatigue, a trick of the mind. But the voice persisted, gentle yet undeniable, always arriving when the world around him was quiet. One evening he decided to follow it, not outside, not into the streets, but into the depths of his own heart. What he found was not silence, but a doorway. Imagine walking through your own life as though it were a vast library. Each book represents a choice, a memory, a moment when you could have turned left instead of right. You reach for one of the books, open it, and suddenly realize the story inside is not just about your past, it is also about your future. Pages shift, time folds, and you begin to see signs that were always there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for your eyes to awaken. This is not fantasy. Ancient mystics spoke of it, prophets hinted at it, and even today, countless ordinary people confess to feeling the same invisible hand guiding them, nudging them towards something greater than themselves, a sudden dream that feels too real, a stranger's words that echo exactly what your soul needed to hear, a number repeating until it burns into your awareness. These are not accidents, they are signals, but the question remains, who sends them? And why do they come for some at the most fragile moments of life? Is it destiny unfolding, or a hidden force that only the few dare to notice? There is a reason you are here, listening now. And as we begin to peel back the veil, you may discover that the signs surrounding you are far more urgent than you realized. Something is calling you, and once you hear it, you cannot return to silence. How many times have you brushed something off as just your imagination, only to feel it return again and again, tugging at you like an invisible thread? You wake in the middle of the night from a dream that feels more vivid than reality. The same faces, the same places keep reappearing, as if a story is being told piece by piece in your sleep. At first, you dismiss it, but the dream comes back, repeating until you wonder if it's trying to deliver a message you are refusing to hear. Or perhaps it's the numbers. You glance at the clock, and it's always the same. 11:11, 2:22, 3:33. You see them on license plates, receipts, even on the screen of your phone. You laugh the first few times, call it coincidence, but then the repetition grows louder, insistent. Deep down you wonder, why these numbers? Why now and why to me? And what about the strange heaviness in your chest, the sudden shiver when there is no wind, the feeling that someone is standing right behind you when you're alone in a room? These moments make your heart race because you know it cannot be explained away by science alone. It feels like a presence, it feels like a warning, or perhaps a reminder. So many people carry these questions silently. They never speak of them at work, at the dinner table, or even with close friends. Because how do you explain the moment you thought of someone you hadn't seen in years, and they called you the very next day? Or the way a song on the radio speaks exactly to what your soul is enduring at that precise moment. It's easier to keep it hidden, tucked away in the private space of your heart. But you are not alone. Across the world, people experience these hidden whispers daily. Ancient cultures believed nothing happened by chance. Every bird crossing the sky, every flicker of flame, every shadow cast by the moon was considered a sign. Modern life has tried to erase this language, but it still speaks. Quietly, persistently, and if you pay attention, you can almost hear the rhythm of something greater guiding you. The pain comes when you try to ignore it. When you convince yourself that the dream was meaningless, the number random, the sensation in your body just stress. You silence your intuition, but it never truly leaves. It lingers like a soft echo, haunting you until you finally stop and listen. And in that silence, you realize that these signals are not intrusions. They are invitations. Invitations to what? That is the mystery. A message, a revelation, a turning point that could change everything if only you dared to see it. And so the question lingers. What if these signs are not meant to confuse you, but to prepare you for something your soul already knows is coming? What if the signs you've been seeing are not random, but part of the oldest spiritual code in existence? For centuries, mystics, prophets, and seekers have spoken about a hidden language, one that doesn't use words, but symbols, numbers, and events woven into your everyday life. And the first great secret in this hidden language is the law of repetition. Repetition is not accident. When something returns again and again, a number, a word, a dream, even a feeling, it is the universe's way of insisting you pay attention. It is the sacred knock on the door of your awareness. In the Bible, Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream not once but twice, because the repetition meant that the message was established by God and would soon come to pass. Ancient sages believed that what returns is destined, and what persists is not to be ignored. Think of the numbers you see: 1111, 333, 717. These are not decorations on your clock or receipts. They are signals in numerical form, each carrying its own vibration. 11 is a number of awakening, a doorway. 3 is divine fullness, echoing Father, Son, and Spirit. 7 is completion, the holy seal of God's work. When you see them repeating, it is not mathematics, it is message. The ancients saw numbers as alive, vibrating with the breath of creation. When they echo in your life, they are telling you that you are being called closer, pulled deeper into alignment with something greater. The same applies to recurring dreams. When you walk through the same forest, night after night, when the same figure appears at your bedside in sleep, it is not your subconscious recycling images, it is a spiritual visitation. Prophets and visionaries throughout time received their guidance through repetition of dreams. Jacob dreamt of a ladder to heaven more than once. Daniel's visions returned until he understood their meaning. The dream repeats because the message has not yet been grasped. And then there are the physical sensations, the chills, the shivers, the sudden weight on your chest. Modern life calls them stress or nerves, but the ancients knew the body is a vessel of communication. The soul speaks through sensation when the mind refuses to listen. The flutter in your chest when you think of a decision is not anxiety, it is guidance. The inexplicable heaviness you feel before stepping into a place may be warning. Your body is not betraying you, it is trying to awaken you. Here lies the first secret. You are surrounded by a spiritual dialogue, and repetition is its signature. What comes again and again is the universe underlining the sentence, bolding the word, refusing to let you miss what matters. It is the divine insisting that your eyes open wider. This is why ignoring the signs only deepens the ache inside. Because the more you silence them, the louder they return. Like Jonah fleeing from Nineveh, you may try to escape the call, but the storm will follow until you face it. And just as Jonah discovered, what feels like punishment is actually mercy, a relentless pursuit to draw you back into purpose. If you've been wondering why you see the same thing over and over, why the same patterns haunt your days, it is because repetition is revelation. The sign does not come once and vanish. It stays until you finally allow it to change you. And here is the hidden promise. Once you respond to the repeated sign, it shifts. The numbers lead you to clarity. The dreams open into understanding. The sensations become peace instead of fear. Because the language was never meant to torment you, it was meant to guide you. This is the first great secret of the spiritual path. Repetition is not noise. It is a message encoded in your life. And the moment you learn to read it, the world around you changes. Suddenly, nothing is random. Everything is alive. If this revelation has stirred something in you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so you can step deeper into this circle of knowledge, this growing community of seekers who see what others overlook. You are not alone in this journey. We are walking it together, and every sign is bringing us closer to the truth. But there is something even deeper hidden within these signals, something that explains why they arrive precisely when your life is at a breaking point. And that mystery is where our path now leads. She was the kind of woman people often overlooked. Quiet, steady, her life a rhythm of early mornings and long commutes. Her name was Claire, and for years she had built her life around predictability. She worked at the same office in Chicago, took the same bus route, bought her coffee from the same corner cafe. From the outside, her life looked stable. Inside, though, she carried a weight she never spoke of, a quiet emptiness, as though something essential was missing. It began with numbers. Every day, without fail, she would glance at her phone at exactly 11:11. At first, she laughed. She even showed her friends, who shrugged and said, "Just coincidence." But the numbers would not leave her alone. Receipts totaled 11:11. A bus pulled up with license plate digits repeating 111. Even in her dreams, she saw clocks glowing with the same sequence. It unsettled her, and yet deep inside, she felt something like a thread pulling her toward an answer. One winter evening, after another long day, Claire walked home through streets glazed in ice. The city lights shimmered, their reflections broken in puddles on the sidewalk. She felt a sudden heaviness in her chest, the same sensation she had been ignoring for months. This time, it was sharp, insistent. She stopped beneath a flickering street lamp, clutching her coat. The world around her seemed to hush, and there it was again. The clock on the building across the street lit up, 11:11. The moment pierced her like an arrow. She whispered, "Why me? What does this mean?" That night, she dreamed of her grandmother who had passed away years before. In the dream, her grandmother sat at a wooden table, holding a candle that burned with a steady flame. She looked at Claire with eyes full of compassion and said only one sentence, "Pay attention. You are being guided." Claire woke with tears streaming down her face, her body trembling as though she had truly been touched by something beyond the veil. From then on, she began to listen. She carried a small notebook and wrote down every sign. The numbers, the dreams, even the sensations in her body. Patterns began to emerge. When she felt the heaviness in her chest, it always happened before she made a choice that did not serve her. When she followed the signs, turning down an invitation that felt wrong, accepting a sudden opportunity that seemed improbable, her life shifted in ways she couldn't explain. One afternoon, as she sat in the cafe where she always bought her coffee, she overheard a conversation at the next table. A stranger spoke about how repeating numbers had guided him to leave a job that was suffocating him, leading him into work that gave his life meaning. Claire froze, her heart pounding. It was as if the universe itself was confirming she wasn't losing her mind. She introduced herself, and that single conversation grew into a friendship that would transform her career, her relationships, even her faith. The signs had not come to torment her. They had come to awaken her. Claire's story is not unique. It is simply one among countless others of ordinary people who one day realized their lives were being written with invisible ink. What looks random is actually revelation. What feels like coincidence is often the language of the soul. And now I want to turn to you. Have you ever experienced a sign so persistent, so uncanny, that you knew it could not be chance? A dream that repeated until you could no longer ignore it, a number that followed you everywhere, a sensation in your heart that told you something was about to happen. Share it in the comments below. I read them, I carry them with me, and in future videos I may even mention your story so others can see they are not alone in this mysterious journey. Because the truth is, every story is a thread in a larger tapestry, and your sign may be the missing piece that unlocks the next great revelation. The first secret revealed the power of repetition, how dreams, numbers, and sensations return until we finally pay attention. But there is a second sign, one that is more subtle, yet just as undeniable. It does not come through numbers on a clock or whispers in the night. Instead, it arrives through the synchrony of events, those impossible alignments that make you pause and wonder, what are the chances of this happening now, to me, in this exact way? This second sign is synchronicity, the hidden architecture of divine timing. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, spoke of synchronicity as meaningful coincidences. The ancients knew it as providence, fate, or divine orchestration. Imagine thinking of a childhood friend you haven't seen in decades, and within hours you run into them at the grocery store. Or needing an answer to a problem, only to overhear two strangers on the bus speaking the exact words you needed to hear. These are not accidents. They are signals aligning outer reality with your inner state. The reason synchronicity feels so powerful is because it pierces the veil of randomness. It's as though the universe rearranges itself to show you that you are not wandering blind. You are being guided step by step. Think of Ruth in the Bible, who just happened to glean grain in the field of Boaz. That chance encounter would become the turning point of her life and part of a lineage leading to kings. What looked like accident was actually alignment. So, how can you recognize this second great sign in your own life? It begins with awareness. Synchronicity often hides in the ordinary, the song that comes on at the precise moment your heart aches, the book that falls from a shelf, opening to the exact passage you needed, the person you randomly meet who holds the answer you've been praying for. These events are woven together by threads you cannot see, but once you start noticing them, the tapestry becomes undeniable. Now, here is the technique you can use immediately to unlock the meaning of synchronicities. Pause and record. Whenever something strange or aligned happens, stop, write it down, no matter how small. Keep a synchronicity journal. The act of recording makes your subconscious aware that you are listening. Ask the silent question. When the event occurs, quietly ask, "What is this moment pointing me toward?" Don't overthink, just feel. Often the first impression is the true one. Look for the emotional resonance. Synchronicity is not about luck, it's about meaning. If the event stirs your heart, makes you feel awe, or sparks a sudden clarity, that is your confirmation it is a sign. Act on the nudge. Synchronicity is not only for comfort, it calls for action. If the sign points you toward calling someone, changing a habit, or stepping into a new path, take the step. The more you respond, the more the synchronicities will grow. Try this for 1 week. Notice how the universe begins to echo back your inner world. The patterns that once felt hidden will rise like constellations in the night sky, guiding you with quiet precision. Here is what you must remember. Synchronicity is the universe showing you that you are in rhythm with its song. When you begin to notice these alignments, you step into flow. Life feels less like chaos and more like choreography, but there is something even deeper than synchronicity, a sign so profound that it rarely reveals itself unless you are truly ready. It does not come through numbers or chance meetings. It touches the very core of your soul, often in moments of crisis or silence. And when it comes, it changes everything. That hidden sign, the one almost no one dares to speak about, is waiting to be unveiled. There are signs you can see with your eyes, like numbers on a clock or faces in a dream. There are signs you can hear in the world, like the song on the radio or the voice of a stranger saying exactly what you needed. But the deepest, most sacred sign is not outside of you at all. It is within you, the trembling of your soul when it comes face to face with the eternal. This sign reveals itself in moments of breaking, when the old life collapses, when the walls of certainty fall, when grief tears open the heart so wide that the silence of heaven pours in. The mystics called it the dark night of the soul. The prophets spoke of it as fire that purifies gold. And those who walk through it come back forever changed, because they have touched the secret that can never be taught, only lived, the presence of God within the soul. Imagine standing before a mirror and realizing that what looks back at you is not just flesh and blood, but light, that every cell in your body hums with a frequency connected to the source of creation. Science has begun to glimpse it, quantum physics revealing that matter itself is energy, vibrating and interconnected, influenced by intention and observation. The ancients knew this without microscopes or equations. They knew the human being was not a shell searching for God outside, but a temple designed to carry the divine flame within. This is why, in your darkest hours, you still feel a whisper of strength that is not your own. Why, when you close your eyes and breathe deeply, you sometimes sense a stillness that feels infinite. That presence is the third greatest sign. It is not given through numbers or synchronicities, but through your very existence. The fact that you are, breathing, perceiving, longing, is the living signal that you are woven into the eternal. And here lies the climax. The signs are not leading you outside to something distant. They are leading you inward, to the truth that the kingdom of heaven is within. Jesus himself said it. The kingdom of God is within you. The final sign is your own awakened consciousness, the moment you realize you are not separate from the divine, but an expression of it. This truth is overwhelming. It collapses the illusion of separation, of randomness, of despair. It reminds you that every pain, every synchronicity, every repetition was not punishment, but preparation. You were being guided to this realization, that you are more than a seeker. You are a bearer of light, a participant in the great unfolding of creation. If you feel this in your heart right now, pause for a moment. Take a breath. And if these words resonate with you, I invite you to subscribe and like this video. Not because it brings profit, but because this work is shared from passion and love. Each subscription strengthens this community, this circle of souls who are waking up together, refusing to live in silence anymore. By joining, you affirm that you are part of something larger, that you want to walk in this truth with others who understand. Because here is the mystery: when one awakens, a spark is lit. But when many awaken together, a fire spreads across the world. That fire is rising even now, through you, through me, through countless souls who are daring to listen to the signs. And yet, there is one last step. For what use is awakening if it does not transform the way we live, the way we love, the way we serve? The deepest sign does not end with revelation. It demands response, a mission carried into the world. And that mission, your mission, is about to be revealed. There comes a moment after all the signs and revelations when the truth begins to settle not only in the mind, but deep in the heart. That moment is now. Everything we have explored together, the repetition of numbers, the whisper of synchronicities, the trembling of your soul in silence, was never random. It was always pointing toward a single truth. You are being called to awaken. Every dream that repeats, every coincidence that startles you, every sensation that rises in your chest is a spark from the same flame. These sparks are not just for curiosity or comfort. They are meant to ignite transformation. They are reminders that you are more than a passerby in this life. You are part of a vast, divine story unfolding, and your role is irreplaceable. Think of it this way. Each sign is like a lantern placed along a hidden path. Alone, one lantern may not reveal much. But as you begin to notice them one by one, they form a trail, and that trail does not lead you into darkness. It leads you back to yourself, to the eternal presence of the divine that has always lived within you. This is the mission the signs are preparing you for, to live with open eyes, to walk with a heart that listens, and to carry light into a world that so often forgets its own sacredness. It is not about being perfect. It is about being awake. It is about daring to see what others dismiss and sharing that awareness in how you love, how you speak, how you live. And now, I want to invite you to take part in something greater than just listening. This channel, this circle of souls, is not built for profit but for passion, for the joy of awakening together. If these words touch something inside you, I ask you to like this video and subscribe, so you can walk alongside others in this community. Each subscription strengthens the circle. Each like sends the message further, reaching hearts that are searching for the very same signs. But I also want something more personal. Leave a comment below with your name and your city. Tell me who you are, where you are from. In the next video, I will mention some of your names with a special greeting. Because this is not only about sharing knowledge, it is about honoring each soul that joins this journey. When your name is spoken, it becomes part of the tapestry woven into this mission of light. So let us close with this. The signs around you are not random. They are invitations, and by choosing to see them, you are already stepping into a greater destiny. What you've heard here today is only the beginning, because even greater revelations are coming. And when they arrive, they will not just open your eyes. They will awaken your spirit to something far more powerful than you ever imagined.